This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
The nature of choice and free will have been examined and debated by philosophers for centuries, laying out a taxonomic chart with hard determinism at one end and libertarianism at the other. While we have had this debate in the real world, the deities of digital realms have been spending the last decade or more attempting to create the illusion of choice in their worlds made of pixels and polygons. The binary nature of computer programming means developing an ever-complex web of conditions that can be true or false, in an effort to react to players' innate reactions to events and sequences presented by the developer. Something tells me that Davey Redden, creator of Half-Life mod turned retail release The Stanley Parable, isn't exactly satisfied with the choices that modern video games give players. I say this because the Stanley Parable's gameplay seems to laugh in the face of heavily scripted narrative sequences. It's a game that tells players to do something and then allows them to violate what it's being asked of them without sending them to a game over screen. In doing this, it is one of the most thought-provoking and hilarious experiences you'll have in front of a keyboard. The Stanley Parable began life as a mod for Half-Life 2, and was recently released on Steam with achievements, more story branches, and shiny new visuals. It places players in the mundane shoes of Stanley, a corporate desk jockey who is placed in an office in front of a computer where he punches buttons for a living. One day, his monitor goes blank, and the other corporate drones that he shares his office building with disappear, and so begins your journey as Stanley. Being the dull chap that he is, Stanley himself doesn't offer much in the area of entertainment, but a charming English narrator provides the personality and humor necessary to make the Stanley Parable an enjoyable experience. The narrator provides players with instructions, becoming almost like a GPS device that has confused itself for a raconteur.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Where most games are about following the rules, the Stanley Parable is best enjoyed when breaking them. If the narrator says to go right, you will certainly find more satisfaction in taking a left and listening as the narrator's knickers become twisted by your wanton disobedience. By taking these divergent paths, you will find yourself faced with one of the game's 15 different conclusions. Each conclusion reveals something a bit different about Stanley, and they range from conspiratorial to surreal. The game plays a few tricks on you by repeating rooms endlessly, or swapping out props on the fly, turning an office into an apartment space. All of this is rendered in a simple and clean visual style. The color palette is muted and reflects just what a dull and miserable experience our pal Stanley has, and the props are equally generic, creating an appropriately stodgy atmosphere. As advertised, the texture work adds far more detail than can be found in the original mod, and overall the HD remix has much greater visual appeal.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. There was nothing here, no choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
So is the Stanley Parable a biting satire of the way in which modern games tell their story by allowing us to control a character on a predetermined path where deviation is punished? Is it a parody of the life of the average key-punching office drone? Or is it just an excuse to have a rather cheeky British man tell us what to do? The answer is that it's all of these, and none of them. It's a game that will give each of its players a different takeaway. Each playthrough lasts between 15 minutes and a half hour. This doesn't sound like a lot of playtime, and it isn't, but there's a tremendous degree of satisfaction in finding new ways to get the game to react to what you are, or in some cases, are not doing. Seeing all 15 endings without consulting a guide will probably take around 3 hours. These 15 endings are not Mass Effect 3 style endings either. They are wholly unique, and there are a couple of treats for gamers to be uncovered. Ultimately, the Stanley Parable will not be everyone's cup of tea, but it holds a very special spot in the gaming landscape. It's a testament to satire and unconventional design, as well as manipulating gamers' expectations. In short, it's the antithesis of its key-punching, dullard protagonist.
When at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.